Yeah, so I'm watching New York play Boston last night. New York won in overtime. But the thing that bothered me is Boston shot in some obscene amount of three-pointers. And yes, this all relates back to the Lakers. Boston shot some obscene amount of three-pointers. They went 13 for 45 on quote-unquote uncontested threes. And my point is, three-pointers defend themselves. That's the name of this video. Three-pointers defend themselves. Right? So, Boston shot 15 for 60 on three-pointers last night. And you're losing so much more than just a missed shot. On many of those three-pointers, New York literally ran back down because of the nature of a three-point rebound. Literally ran back down and got a layup within 2-3 seconds. Right? After each one of those three-pointers. And I'm watching Boston take all these threes. And I'm watching the rest of the team. Right? Not the guy with the ball on Boston, but the other four players. I'm watching them. And they're not doing shit. They're standing around not doing shit. And I am so tired of Trevor Lane, right? I guess maybe I got to beef with that dude because he has a very loud Laker voice, right? Laker Nation guy. I listen to the podcast, right? But he has a very loud Laker voice within the Laker Nation. But the dude does not know what he's talking about sometimes, man. Oftentimes, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And he says all this fluff, right? And it's like, yo, dude, how long have you been watching basketball? He's sitting there like, for example, during the playoffs. Yo, man, we need to get our scoring up, this, that, and the other. Nah, homie, it's the playoffs. The scoring is coming down. Eat that. Accept that. Right? Take it into your being and move the F on. The scoring is not going up. It's coming down during the playoffs, man. It's getting more physical during the playoffs. Look, man, I've been watching basketball since 1984, man. 83, 84, somewhere around there. And I'm telling you, the game does not change. You know, Trevor Lane wants to recreate the hot dog, man. He wants to recreate the hamburger. He wants to recreate the automobile. Yo, 50 years from now, a hot dog's going to be a hot dog, a hamburger's going to be a hamburger, and an automobile is going to be an automobile, man. It's going to have a frame and four wheels and a windshield. Only thing that's going to change is a little technology inside. Recognize what you're dealing with, man. And, you know, you look at the build of the Lakers going into the postseason. It was not built for the wrath to come. The wrath to come is what you get in the playoffs. It's what Minnesota gave us. And there's so many teams that refuse to acknowledge it. You know, there's so many fans, man, talking heads who I believe organizations listen to. Right? That's their bellwether. If we make this trade, what will the fans say? Will they flip the F out? Right? That's, in my opinion, that's what Nico Harrison copped. He admitted, yo, I didn't think this was the wrath that was happening after we traded Luka. That's what Nico Harrison said. And I do believe that organization, especially the Lakers, listen to these, podcasts and these talking heads, and that's where they get their cue as to whether something is going to be acceptable or not. And you look at the style of the Lakers play, and it's just like, yo, it shit worked for Golden State, man. It's not going to work for you. So New York and Boston played last night. 13 of 45 of Boston three-point attempts were considered uncontested. And they went 13 for 45. If you have a player in the NBA get 45 uncontested layups, how many do you expect him to make? 45. You expect him to make every uncontested layup. If a player in the NBA gets 45 free throws, a free throw is of course uncontested. What percentage do you expect him to make? 75 to 85, right? Somewhere in there, right? The layup you expect 100%. The free throw you expect 75 to 80%. Anybody notice a trend? 100% up here, 75 to 80. What do you expect from a three? An uncontested three. Right? So now you're talking, when you start thinking of it like that, you're talking about a shot that's going to give you 100%, right? Maybe 100 plus some. If that player gets fouled in shooting a layup, right? 100%. If he gets fouled shooting a layup, could you call it 150? You see what I'm saying? Right? Furthermore, in order for that player to get a layup, he had to have received the ball from somebody. Unless he drove all the way down and scored in 3-4 seconds. That, when you could drive all the way down and score in 3 or 4 seconds, there's energy in the ball. Even if you don't pass it, it's energy in the ball. Right? So a player scores in 3 or 4 seconds. You could have somebody, and we, as a Laker fan, we all know exactly who I'm talking about. You could have somebody come down the court, dribble, shoot a three-pointer. Come down the court, 2 seconds after crossing half court, shoot a three-pointer. Watch what the rest of the team is doing. Watch how much energy is within the team when an offense like that is allowed to persist. Just watch, and you'll see. Right? And then what's crazy is the Celtics got into this three-point funk, right? When I say funk, I mean they just got into this three-point way of play. Right? And after the game, they all said, yeah, it probably wasn't the wisest thing to do. We probably could have played better. Why couldn't they stop it? Why can't you just stop that? You're shooting a gang of threes. Your threes aren't hitting. Why can't you just stop how you're playing and go back to playing a game in which you start, moving the ball, cutting, slashing, mid-range shots, all sorts of shots, layups, right? And then a three-pointer littered here and there. How come you can't stop it? Why can't teams stop it when they start shooting these threes like morons? Why can't they stop? Because it's not in the human nature just to be able to stop and reconfigure your mind to get out of a certain way of moving, of executing, of living your life, right? I tell my kids all the time, I was like, look, you guys got to understand something. When you guys are dirty around the house, right? You're dirty in your mind, and you're going to go out into the world, right? Go out to college, be in a dorm or something like that. And you may think you're being clean, but it's too late. Right? You got to now do work in order to get out of what you are and how you've been living. It doesn't just happen like that. You can't just snap out of it. Look, I know playing basketball ain't, the same as living a dirty, filthy life. Right? I know it's not the same. But still, it takes a minute to reset your mind. Right? And it's not so easy just to jump back. People don't work like that. That's just not how people work. Have you ever, it's the year 2024, right? December 31st. In 2025, right? January 3rd, 2025, when you go back to work. Do you just go back when you do dates? Do you ever F up and put 2024? Well, it's 2025. Whole world knows it's 2025. What you still putting 2024 for? Because you can't. The mind does not work like that. And when it's not a part of who you are, right? Then you have to work to make it a part of who you are. And in a basketball game, it's not enough time for you to quote unquote work to make it a part of who you are. And that's what happened to Boston last night. And that is frequently what happens to the Lakers. The Lakers shoot so many threes, right? I keep saying that 30 to 40, maybe 45% of their shots should be threes. That's it. And if they're not good threes in which the ball is moving, right, then the number should be less. But the nature of the threes that the Lakers take are the nature of the threes that Boston took last night. And it's amazing. Excuse me. It's amazing that Boston shot that poorly and damn near won the game. But you gave up a game over bullshit. You gave up a game because it was a part of your dogma, a part of your philosophy, a part of your lifestyle as a team to shoot that many three-pointers. And it's stupid. It's just stupid. Three-pointers defend themselves. Layup, a wide-open layup, you're going to make 100 out of 100. If a player makes 98 out of 100, that player is probably out of the NBA. Right? I mean, well, Russell Westbrook does so much more, but if that's who you're thinking. But yeah, if you have an uncontested layup, you better make 100 out of 100. Uncontested free throw, 75 to 85%. Uncontested three-pointer. Who the hell knows? Because I'll tell you something else about a jump shot. A jump shot, you could do little things to F with somebody's jump shot. You don't necessarily have to touch them, right? Like, for example, when I used to play, I knew that there was a certain gap between myself as a defender and the three-point shooter, right? And if you could get into a gap, into a space that makes the shooter uncomfortable, then you have a good shot of encouraging him to miss, even if he's considered open. There are some shooters who don't like wide open shots. There are some shooters who shoot better with a hand in their face. I seen them, man. There's a million in the NBA. They're comfortable with a hand in their face. And they shoot best with a hand in their face. They're not wide open set shooters. That's not what they do. Right? And I'm telling you that there is a distance between the player and the defender and the shooter that is just uncomfortable. Right? I don't get it, but I felt it. I was a shooter who liked a hand in his face. It felt better that way to me. I never liked wide open. But see, you're supposed to know this stuff, man. And in my opinion, that's what New York played on yesterday. And that's what happened to Boston. Now, New York can't keep doing that. They can't keep doing that. Because Boston will figure it out. Right? And furthermore, part of the reason why Golden State is a decent rebounding team. Well, I think they're considered good this year. But part of that, the reason is long shots have long rebounds. And if you position your players for the mid-range rebound, not the rebound that comes off from a soft shot, then you could actually do pretty good in rebounding when you have a heavy three-point shooting team. Right? Anyway, I digress. Yeah, I just wanted to point out and reiterate that three-pointers defend themselves. And especially when you do not have a great three-point shooting team. You know? And the Lakers don't have that. And I repeat, when I heard JJ Redick tell the team, just bomb threes, it's like, yo, dude, who do you think you are? When I say who do you think you are, I mean, who do you think your team is, man? Do you think that's a wise statement? Really? You know? And then he's going small. And I'm telling you, man, whenever you hear these jackasses talk about small ball 5, death lineup, they use these stupid ass terms, man. Stretch big, stretch 5. All they're talking about is shooting more lazy ass three-pointers. That's all they're talking about. Because the extent of their basketball knowledge is 3 is more than 2. You know, and it's the same stupid ass logic that said, yeah, we need to bench Jackson Hayes. He's not giving us anything. But you know what? When Jackson Hayes is playing, Rudy Gobert ain't giving you anything either. You see, there's no context to what they say. They just blurt out this bullshit, and then they run around with the, this nice, well-produced, podcast or whatever, and they got credibility because they move like that. Right? You put a mic, what do they say? They say if something were to happen to a leader, right? Let's say a leader gets shot, right? Who is the world going to listen to? The first person who steps up to the mic. And a lot of these guys, hey man, props to them on getting their shows off the ground, right? But they're not saying anything. They're not speaking with any kind of knowledge, context, introspection. They use none of that, man. And they're not real thinkers. Terrible thinkers, man. And so they run around and they drop these terms on y'all, talking about small ball 5 and stretch 3 and a death lineup and all this other stupid shit. That's really all it's saying is, we like 3-pointers. We need more 3-pointers. Look at the NBA game right now when it matters. What is the game when it matters? Is that what we're seeing? Is that what we're seeing? Because when they say they want more 3-pointers, they might as well just say, we want more regular season wins. F the playoffs, we want more regular season wins. That's what they might as well be saying. And overtime game, 5 extra minutes, and the score is 108-105. Knicks win 108-105. Lakers, did the Lakers ever score over 100 in a game against Minnesota? You see where I'm going with this? The 3-pointer defends itself. And not only does it defend itself, right? If you have a hot shooting game from your team, you might win. But it's fool's gold to lazy, simple-minded people. That's what that is. Right? Now, you hear all the same talking heads who were touting that small ball crap, talking about, our main priority is to get a center. We have to get a center. And it's like, what? I'll tell you what, man, one of the things that angers me about the internet now is that there are no repercussions for being not wrong. I don't trip about people being wrong, right? But you could be wrong to an extent that it's like, dude, some of your credibility should be gone, right? So, for example, there were games against Minnesota where I predicted the Lakers winning 6. I was wrong. That's okay, right? That's not a big deal. But what if you are touting getting players that promote a certain style of play? Now you are stuck with players that promote a certain style of play. And not only are you stuck with players who promote a certain style of play, the certain style of play you promoted is wrong. The philosophy of your game that you believe in is wrong. It's bullshit. That's something different. Right? That's something different. With my kids, man, I tell them, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, right? And sometimes you let them make mistakes, but sometimes you stop them. And you guys say, no, look, you're about to hurt yourself. Or look, this is going to have long-lasting ramifications if you do it. And so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? It's two different things, man. And the way some of these guys talk, right? It's like, okay, now that you've come to your senses, you're sharing it with all the people who are watching your channel. But by then, you are so far behind the 8 ball, man. I hear these idiots talking about, we need to go pick up Steven Adams. JJ Redick don't want to play Steven Adams. He may play Steven Adams because he's a high-profile free agent acquisition, but he don't want to play Steven Adams. Furthermore, you are so far behind the 8 ball. In a year or two, Steven Adams is going to fall off. Right? Let me tell you what's going to happen if the Lakers get Steven Adams. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. One, he's going to be over the hill. And he won't be able to do the things that so attracted you to who he was in the first place. Right? To whatever made him attractive to you, he is not going to be able to do those things anymore. Okay? 2, JJ Redick, unless he changes his philosophy, JJ Redick is not going to promote a guy like Adams. He won't. He won't promote a guy like that. What he's going to do is he's going to play him off the court. That's what JJ Redick is going to do. He's not going to work around Steven Adams, right? He's not going to massage and grow his game, right? You may be saying, well, Steven Adams was 30-something. How is he supposed to grow his game? What I'm saying is, what the attributes that Steven Adams has, JJ Redick does not necessarily respect, right? So I'm hearing these guys talk about Clint Capella, who very well may be over the hill, hasn't been able to get time in Atlanta, right? He's taking a back seat to about 2 other centers, right? Now you're chasing. You're chasing now. You got caught chasing a fad. You're chasing a fad now, right? The NBA, oh shit, these big men are worth a damn. All them years that you are trying to be Golden State and promoting Golden State, now you just figure it out, right? When only one team in NBA history has ever been able to be Golden State. Steven Adams ain't the answer. He's not the answer. And one, he's older. And I'm telling you, when he finally gets here to the Lakers, if he were to come, he ain't gonna be the same player. Clint Capella is older. And when he finally gets to the Lakers, he ain't gonna be the same player. You see, this is what happens when you skip an entire offseason. This is what happens when you skip an entire offseason. You get behind before you even know you're behind. Right? You think it don't matter. You think you can just go back and course correct. No, you can't. You can't. Because now a player is an unrestricted free agent, which means now you have to pay more. You may very well potentially have to pay more. Right? Well, it's a salary cap. How much more could you pay? And if you pay that, how much flexibility do you have going forward? You see, it all matters. And far too often, Lakers talking heads, management, coaches move like it doesn't all matter. Right? How valuable is Jackson Hayes if the one game he don't play, Rudy Gobert looks like Wilt Chamberlain? That's the next video I'm going to make. How valuable is Jackson Hayes? Because it's not just about Jackson Hayes now. Now it's about your whole freaking philosophy. You see? Really, what I'm saying is, how effective is a big man? A big man that can neutralize what Rudy Gobert will do to a stupid-ass team and a stupid-ass coach. Now, how important is Jackson Hayes? You see? So, yeah, man, I had to make this point. Yo, 3-pointers defend themselves, man. And yeah, a team on a hot night is going to whoop you, right? And a team that has the 3 of the best shooters in NBA history, it's a problem. You know? But damn, man, to give up games in the playoffs, in the Eastern Conference semifinals, just give up the game because you got nothing. And that's the other thing, man. The 3-pointer is the laziest, most simple-minded shot in the game, man. It really is. You could get them damn things up anytime, man. Anyway, that's this video. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.